I move and breathe in him.
We ought to start with Lynn singing.
No.
That would be really good. I just have to get one thing. I'll be right back.
I vote for Lynn first.
No.
I mean, it's only fitting and proper that we start with you first, really.
Oh, you are so sweet. I'll have to look up the lesson to get to have the actual words, but I mean, it is really beautiful, and Darla Hughes sings that, and it's so beautiful, but I don't know where it is. So,
but okay.
All right. Good morning, everybody. We got Dove and Sharon here on YouTube Live, and we are here on day 222 of the year 2023, 222-23, or not 222, 8/22/23. Anyway, Dove, I see you are here and you posted the lesson. God is with me. I live and move in him. I don't know the rest of it because I don't have the words up, but there we go. Anyway, Dove, what do you got to say this morning?
Well, good morning, everybody. Wonderful being here. Hi, Sharon, my sharing partner on Thursday mornings. And I just want to say that today's lesson is lesson 222. God is with me, exactly as Lynn was humming. God is with me. I live and move in him. And Ken Wapner's commentary is, we do not want to bring the light to the dark, but the darkness of our false identity to the light of who we truly are as the Christ. And what is the Christ but the Son of God? Yes, the Son of God is pure light, whole, complete, pure, innocent in every way. And we were listening to Ken Wapner just before we came on, and somebody asked Ken a question about where is there a place in the course that says if you fill the one plan, his plan is the one function, and he actually read it to us right out of the things, right out of the textbook. So I'm going to read it too, because it's so wonderful. I actually call it the abundance prayer. I call it the abundance prayer. I think others call it the abundance prayer, and I'm going to put it up here in the chat so you can see it, Sharon. This is what it says. It says, once you accept his plan instead of your own programming as the one function that you would fulfill, there'll be nothing else the Holy Spirit will not arrange for you without your effort. He will go before you, making straight your path, leaving in your way no stones to trip on, no obstacles to bar your way. Nothing you need will be denied you. I'll say it again. Nothing you need will be denied you. And I like to say, that's true no matter if you're following his plan or not. You always get what you need. You don't always get what you want. It goes on to say, not one seeming difficulty, but will melt away before you reach it. Can you imagine that? Whatever obstacle is in your way will be removed for you. And I've had that experience in my life. Things that seem to be like some Gordian knot kind of unravel before I actually got there, or before it made a mess of my path. You need take thought for nothing. That's right in line with I need do nothing. You need take thoughts for nothing, careless of everything. Wow. I mean, you're free. Except the only purpose has meaning, that you would fulfill, as that was given to you, so will its fulfillment be. God's guarantee This is God's guarantee. So God's giving you a guarantee that if you accept the atonement, which is the recognition that the separation never happened, and that is our purpose here, is to remember the truth rather than to live in the lie. God's guarantee will hold against all obstacles, for it rests on certainty, and not contingency. I could just hear the ego saying, "Oh boy, I get a guarantee from God. Oh my God, I'm home free already." And then he gives you the good news. This guarantee rests on you. And what can be more certain than a son of God? Of course, the ego is the home of self-doubt, lack, insecurity, uncertainty. It does everything by itself. All you gotta do is return to your certain, whole, complete, perfect, innocent self. That's it. Over to you, Sharon.
So you're reading today's lesson, I see.
Well, first let me say that's from text chapter.
I thought you were going to put it on here. I don't see what you put on because I'm not in the room. But
well, I just put it in the chat for you just now.
okay.
It's in the chat.
You know what? It's different. Yeah. Okay, text chapter 20. Yeah. So today's lesson is, and what I love about the lessons is that little by little, Jesus is taking us through the undoing process. And, I have Ken Waltnick's Journey Through the Workbook. God is with me. I live and move in him. This refers to the well-known statement of St. Paul from the Acts of the Apostles, to which I referred earlier. It recalls to our minds lesson 41. God is with me wherever I go. Needless to say, at this point, the meaning of the word should not be taken literally. Now, this was an interesting thing that he just wrote that. Because we were talking, and I'm not going to mention names, but there are people seeming beings that are reading the Course saying that we stay in our body. We can, it can be literal what the Course is saying. There's never been a body. And what Ken is saying, if you take the Course literally, you can confuse yourself. There is so much metaphysics in this Course, and there's never been a body. There's a reflection of a body, and it comes, as you know, in the past and the future. It's just flashing in and out. But once I'm in the holy instant, it's not there. And another thing I've done in the process is, who's seeing out of my eyes? Because the character can't really see vision. Vision comes from the one. So the vision I'm in right now, who is really seeing? Well, it's consciousness. But I'm going to go on and talk a little bit about what Ken is saying, because Ken teaches this Course in a way where he's basically saying, a lot of people talk that we are God. Well, we are God's son, for sure, who we really are. But this little play we're having is consciousness. So this is a domain of the ego, because if it's the domain of the ego, it's the only place that this mind probably is operating in the field, but it's already over. It didn't even really happen. It was a thought. It was a moment. It was just that. So God is with me. He is my source of life, the life within the air I breathe, the food by which I'm sustained, the water which renews and cleanses me. Now this is good. God is not in our water, food, or air. He is not in the world. These words symbolize God being our life. What sustains us here are water, food, and air, and our bodies cannot live without them. Similarly, our identity as spirit cannot live without God, for he is our source in our life, and our being lies only in him. Now, this is an interesting thing Ken wrote, because, God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. You can take that as, well, everything here is God, because it is holy. And if you look at the Eastern teachings, they are saying that we are God or we are Brahman. And there's nothing wrong with it. These are concepts. So really getting back to the real meat of this whole process is there's none of us, if we're not really here, who are we anyway? You know, we're formless being and it's consciousness or it's the God self. But, you know, the whole idea that this is illusion is because we didn't leave heaven. You know, you can't usurp God ever. So what Kent's basically trying to, and it has probably, as I said when I began this talk, that some spiritual students of Course in Miracles believe that we still stay in our bodies. And that is not true, because there's never been a time we're in a body. This is truly a movie. No, there's nothing, if you look at, and I'm going to say this, Lynn Johnson gave a wonderful presentation the other night, which I have been sending to friends, because we do struggle with the Course in Miracles. We're talking to bodies seemingly. I said to Lynn this morning, most of the day, I think I am a body. But that's the thinker. It's not who I am. I'm watching the thinker. I'm watching the mind of Sharon, you know. So I think the hardest thing that Ken has always tried to bring home, as in my humble opinion, he was the master teacher of A Course in Miracles. But what he tries to bring home is, what does it have to do with you? Because you're not even there. Why would you pick a mind that's completely insane? You know, the insane voice talking to itself. So he writes, you can not escape from what you are, for God is merciful and did not let his son abandon him. For what he is, be thankful, for in that is your escape from madness and from death. Now here, but where he is, can you be found? And the confusion, you know, in the mind is to really believe that this body will be eternal. The body, it doesn't stay on ever, because the body is just, as I said, it's like being in a movie theater and you are truly either, it flashes in the past and it flashes in the future. So really, when I take my finger and I put it all the way through my eyes, I'm not there. I'm headless. See, that's an exercise I do regularly. You're not there. If you take your finger and you go right like this, Dove. Oh, I'm sorry, Dove. I didn't see, I had turned that off. You know, when you do this, you know, and this is something Headless Way or Daniel Shea has taught a lot. And he's a phenomenal Course in Miracles teacher, Daniel. And you're not there. Like, I think I'm here talking to Dove and he can see me, but I can't see me, right? Because I go like this, and it's all emptiness. But then all of a sudden, the computer mind, body, mind vehicle just then snaps and says, see, Sharon, you are a person. You can even feel it. And these are the senses. It's such a trick of the ego. It's a brilliant trick. It can keep you stuck in a story, and the story is meaningless. So over to you, Dove.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for mentioning that Lynn had that wonderful teaching Tuesday night. Basically speaking on the same topic I had spoken on a week earlier. I am not a body. As long as you associate with the body, you are saying, I totally believe in separation, because the body is the symbol of separation. And if you're in this world and you identify with the body, and we all identify with the body coming into this world. There's no two ways about it. The body needs food, it needs air, it needs help, it needs cleaning, it needs. It's a needy thing. And I have to do in order to get, so I can finally have, so I can finally be, which is why the world is so upside down. But that is why the ego is always in charge, because the ego's home is the body. It doesn't really like the body. It says it in the Course. The ego really doesn't like its home, the body. Always, trying to make excuses, trying to use cosmetics to cover it up, doing anything, little tummy tucks, whatever I got to do to make my body look better. This has nothing to do in reality. There are no bodies, bodies do not exist in reality, because reality is oneness, which is mind, which is spirit. And you either identifying with spirit or you're identifying with a body which doesn't really exist in reality. So we're literally living in a world that we made. That's why they call it it's a virtual reality. It's an illusion, a dream. I was listening to Ken Wapnick today, and I realized that I don't know how I ever missed this, but I know I've been comparing the body with your car. You know, you have a car to transport you and get the things done that you need to get done, but you're not your car. And he mentioned today the body is like a computer. When you walk into a store to look at a computer, it's a beautiful, sleek model. You know, I don't care if you're talking about an Apple or a Mac, or you're talking about the Windows. You're looking at something really beautiful to look at. But guess what? It doesn't work. It's just there until you put your programs in, and all of a sudden it becomes alive. And we say, "Oh my God, the computer can think." No, that's still artificial intelligence. It's not real intelligence. You put a program in, the program is doing it for you. Of course, now they have programs, they call it artificial intelligence, and it learns. It's really what was originally called many years ago, it was called neural networks. It learns as it goes along, it accumulates its learning. So it's not the original program. It actually learns from everything that ever happened already and then moves on from there. Isn't that wonderful? But it's still a computer. It's not what God creates. God doesn't create programs and computers. You gotta laugh. Over to you, Sharon.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is that we are, very powerful beings, because we actually blew out a world by just an idea that came in our mind. And, and then we, we as the Son of God, have this power to blow out a world that is completely about opposites. You can never, ever, ever have anything without an opposite. So I want to just come to, and I want to get back to Wapnick in a little while, but I want to say this, that one of the things that always confused this mind was when other teachings would say you're not the doer. And so what I did was I had guidance to just go, because when you think you're the dreamer of the dream, it's your dream, you're responsible, and you're 100% responsible because it's all thought. However, who makes the play? Let me read what Daniel wrote, because Daniel Shea is another, of course, teacher. He also teaches other things. Well, it's really just a course, but he then teaches on his own, because he is a young guy in his early 40s who, I don't know where he is, but he's always been an advanced teacher of God. I noticed him in Pal Talk years ago, and I wanted to know his name. And I followed him, and then I went to one of his classes that was phenomenal. So, he's just a really good, and I know Dub likes him. But anyway, he writes in this book, because the book is called A Kiss from Reality. The free will, or the permission given to us to determine for us that we will do, enters not on the level of how things actually work, but only on the level of experience. Like the optical illusion I mentioned before, it most certainly looks and feels like free will is real. But the fact is, it isn't, especially because there's no one to have it. Now, I just want to say one thing there before I continue. When I go on this YouTube now, I have no video, as you can see, Dub, and I'm not doing this on purpose. The lens goes in and out, just like I am. So you won't see Sharon, but you'll hear her, because that's really all there is. There's only hearness. There's no character. There's a voice, seeming voice, but that's about it. Anyway, So, and he says, I mentioned before, it most certainly looks and feels like free will. So if you even think like that, like, you know, if you listen to, like, I'll give you an example of Roger Costello. He was a course student, but he went on to say, you're just not the doer. And I would say, what do you mean? I mean, it's my dream. Well, this, we all know it's over, the movie. We all know that it's a production like a Netflix, right? Only it goes on seemingly for a long time. But time is the vast illusion. So he writes here, the whole is the doer. See, it's the wholeness, the oneness that we are, the wholeness that has made, and how some of us ended up in this play, because I would assume that we asked to. We're all so powerful, you know. But when I say we asked, I'm not talking about a character. I'm talking about just the makings of this brilliant play. It is brilliant. I mean, humanity really has a script. You know, it's really a complete script. So anyway, however, is given so that life would not be a mere mechanical process, but a lived experience. If we knew what was to come, life would be robotic and dead. It is not knowing which lets us feel alive, you know. In fact, children teach us that the less we know, the more alive we are. Sages teach us this too. Well, we may think that they are wise who know it all. Any genuine sage will tell you he knows nothing, and that the point isn't to know anything, but to directly experience the divine. And that would be love. So that's where, you know, because I think that, you know, I was talking to Gina Lake like a couple of years ago, and she had said, because I said to her, you know, during the old election, that I didn't believe people were picking these things. And she said, no, there's free will, but not when you get into the contextual field. When you get into the contextual field, things start to become even more apparent. And what is the contextual field? It is the infinite self. It's the field of the senses and everything. So it's happening by itself because it's this essence. It's the essence of the isness. That's all that, and it's miraculous. If you can sit back and look at this happening, it's a miraculous miracle that we even experience ourselves as humans. So when I get to the point where it's an experience and the experiencer is this character talking, however, the character is formless being. It is not a person. Anyway, over to you, but it's all mind, another word that I can use. It's all mind. You know, we have so many words in this non-duality world, you know, whether it be Eastern or Western teaching. So over to you, Doug.
Okay. You're right. We made this world that seems so enormous. I don't know if it was Lynn or myself who mentioned, you know, the Big Bang, which seems to be the beginning. And I kind of laugh at that. That's the beginning, really? You mean there was nothing before the Big Bang? Nothing? So science, which can go all the way back to a few milliseconds after the Big Bang, now they have this new telescope, the Webb, which replaced the Hubble, sees that there are 2 trillion galaxies. And, you know, we say, well, we're not so special. You know, we're just the third rock in from the sun, which is which is the center of the solar system, but only a very small part of the constellation called the Milky Way. But there's thousands of constellations. Who are we? But yet we still think that we're special. If you think that you're a body, you must think that you're special, because after all, you have to take care of yourself. You have to do for yourself. You have to compete with others. And you want to be right. You want to win. No one wants to lose. I mean, you don't come to this world to lose. You come to get, to do, to have, to be. Yes. Yet in the psychotherapy pamphlet, it says, what he does not realize and needs to learn is that this little small self, this little small third rock from the sun, this little body, this little mass of cells, physical cells that was born, lives, and dies, can attack. Oh, really? That's right. Did you notice how some galaxies eat up other galaxies and they form black holes and they disappear? Yeah, this idea of eating up and devouring, you find all over nature. That's what animals do. They devour each other. And some people say, "Well, I'm a vegan. I don't devour anything that breathes." I see. Does that include anything that lives? You gotta laugh. Goes on to say, this little self can attack and be attacked as well. And it's a concept. I'm going to put it up here so you can read along. So it's easy to read in the chat. I'll also put it up in the room if anyone is in the room that wants to read it, so that it's easier to read. Okay. There, put in the room. He does not realize and needs to learn that it's this little small self, quote unquote, which can attack and be attacked as well. You mean this little small self called Dove can attack? Oh yeah, and I can be attacked. Yeah, I get attacked every single day. Is a concept. I'm only a concept that I made up. And then it tells you, and this comes from the psychotherapy pamphlet, section 1, paragraph 3. He made it up by choosing specialness. Oh my God. Yeah. So that's the mark of the ego. The mark of the ego is I'm special, better, more, different. All those words describe something that has nothing to do with the peace and the love of God, which passes all understanding. Because what God creates is equal. What we made is special. So it's this specialness that has opposites. You were talking about, a world full of opposites, things that oppose, is a world of conflict. And in conflict, there is always you or me, us or them, good or bad, right or wrong. There's two sides of everything. And if you're going through this world without examining both sides, you're going to see only your side is special. So as Socrates said 2,000 years ago, he says, an unexamined life and unexamined mind is not even worth living. You're just a robot. You're a computer. You don't see that the world has two sides. And yeah, talking about Daniel, it's Daniel Shai, Shai. He is from Israel, and he used to teach right here. I know that Lynn knows him. He used to teach right here. Suzanne actually found them over in her doings over in I guess he maybe more. Yeah, he has his girl. His girl partner lives in Amsterdam, I think, or Rotterdam in Netherlands, and somehow she introduced him to ACIM Gather, and he was teaching here. Yeah, I did take his headless course. It's a very interesting course. One of the things I always remember about it is if you're driving in a car and you think that the landscape is something that you're just passing by and you're in the car and the landscape is now, at first it was in front of you, and now it's to the side of you, and now it's behind you. No, it's the other way around. No, the landscape is passing through you. You never left where you are. You're stationary. You're one with all. And with that, I will turn this mic on over to you.
You know, it's beautiful to come and be fully present in the holy instant, because when you're in the holy instant, you can really see that there is no person. There's shadow. That's all that's here. It's a shadow of a seeming world. And I'm seemingly dreaming about this character that's talking, right? However, like when we get to a place where we realize that the only thing that ever serves us is laughter, because every joke is on the one that's speaking. You know, I think I'm actually talking to Dove now, and we're doing a teaching, but really I'm talking to myself, right? Because he's a reflection of this mind that's dreaming. So there really is nothing outside of me. And you know how many years I've heard Dove say that, and how many years I didn't really hear it, because so many concepts had to move out of the way, you know, because it's really all happening by itself. You know, if we think someone seeming poor student isn't getting it, they're not supposed to until they do. Because there's nothing, it's like Pat Nolan has said, you cannot do a thing to a dream figure. If the dream figure is not simulated to do that, there's nothing that you can do. Because the strength of the force of the movie projector is still the force of all of us, the oneness. And that's why when we go inside and we see our loved ones as, you know, wholeness, and realize that there's nothing that really happened, then it's kind of hilarious that we're projecting this ridiculous thing, and we're taking so many, and when I say we're, that is not okay. It's I. Speaking from where, I remember years ago, Lenny Rose used to say, Sharon, don't say, you know, we. Speak for your own experience. And he was right. But sometimes the habit energy just comes into the we. Because I can't know what another brother is really experiencing ever. Because I am the experiencing, my concepts are what tells me, you know, what they're doing, right? And the only thing that I need to really pay attention is the being, you know. Now, one of the things that I'm really looking at now is special relationships, because that's always been a complete trigger for this mind, you know. And why is that? Well, who knows? But because of the conditioning, you know, I mean, I took a lot of, what's the word? I don't like the word pride, but I took so much love for being a parent, you know, and am I really that? You know, and as, you know, what I've done now as a parent is looked at my need to control sometimes situations to make it easier for my, you know, children, you know, and they're adults. One will be 44 tomorrow, and the other one will be 40 in January, which is unbelievable. But, you know, when I have to say, I loved raising these two boys more than I can ever. I mean, I wasn't a mother that thought it was ever a problem to do something for my kids. Why? I have no idea. That's just the way I showed up in the script, you know. Because I'm really powerless in every way because it's completely over the dream. But, you know, the character that's speaking now really loved being a mother. So to actually say, I love everybody the same, I have to come from love, right? It's not personal love that we love everybody the same. The sameness is life energy. It's life awareness. It's not the person. And you get to a place, and what I had in this process was a tug of war with the mind, because I was thinking I should have been, you know, shoulda been further advanced. Look at Dove. He knows the course. I want to know the course. All of that is ego, right? Because if you're just here now, and it's hard for a being who's never read A Course in Miracles to come in and hear, you know, there is no world and you're not really here. That's when you take a step back and you realize, hey, this is interesting. But the inner teacher has been really living through at least this mind the whole time. The ego is just a belief in separation, and it has all the other beliefs of the unworthiness and guilt that I could ever dream of. But, what I'm finding, like tonight we have the manual for teachers, and I love it because, see, I could go on and on until I am no longer here, just being in groups that are like the one that is now in ACIM, because everybody seems, and this is just my reflection, to be basically loving each other. There's no arguing. Now, what if they did argue? Well, that's a veil over love. It doesn't mean anything, but it's not necessary. And this is what I'm seeing, and why it's where I am now. I'm not seeing all the drama because I'm not in drama. Do I never do drama? No, I'd have to admit, there are times that the mind comes in and there's drama there. And sometimes I might get on board and say, well, that's not right, or whatever it is. But I pull myself back and say, Holy Spirit, I don't know what this is for. I really don't know what this is for, because you don't. One of the things that I also found in my experience as the experiencer of Sharon was that I cared so much about not hurting anyone. I was always like, but the anyone would only be me. I can only hurt me. But it used to be painful for me to think that I could hurt anyone's feelings. And all of this is just thought, playing with thought, So, what Ken was saying here is we think our home is the body, and thus are tempted to bring God into the world as we seek to take up his home in our bodies. We want Jesus to do likewise. In an upside down understanding, of course, we distort its message to mean making our bodies happier. In truth, however, we want to make our home in God, which is reflected here in the right-minded love of Jesus. And this is truly a reflection. We do not want to bring the light to the darkness, but the darkness of our false identity to the light of who we are as Christ. Only then can we be safe and experience our Father's kindness, care, and love, not as a body from a body, but as a mind that is part of a mind. Thus, Jesus asks rhetorically, is he or God a body? And did he create you as he is not? And where he cannot be, you are surrounded only by him. So this is all love. And we can't possibly know what it feels like in heaven, because well, here I am with the weight. I can't possibly know what's to come. I can imagine, and I would think that I feel so much love now. So if the body is transcended, then I can imagine that this love is like, for an ego, it's very powerful. And in fact, people that have had revelations have said, this is not a love from this world. This love is, it's like a near-death experience. They say that too. But I think even when you because near-death experience is still phenomena, we still are in this, the ego dimension. Of course, people that have them, say you're not in the body. So they've had that experience, that they see that they're everywhere, all the time. Because I did that for a couple of years, just listen to near-death experiences. And I do feel that it's a mystery. Do we leave this, dimension and go to the fourth density or the fifth? And I don't know. But if you really see, what feels right is that nothing happened. So what does it matter? We are not in control of any of it. And that is hard for an ego mind to say, what do you mean I'm not in control? You've never been in control, right? So, and why is Ken writing completely about the fact that we are not this body? Because it's a lot easier to. It's the truth, it's reality, and it's easier. When somebody says you have to heal your body, you're like, oh, I think I need to heal all these diseases and that's not what this is about. It's not. What it's about is love. It's just love, encompassing everything, every seeming object. And I say seeming. So when we understand the Holy Spirit's words to be true, there is no need to do anything. We need no longer frantically try to keep our sanity about our bodies happy. When we understand there is nothing to forgive, we can truly be quiet to the truth. Now that is really, and that's when the guilt, because, I feel guilt still, I can feel like there's still in this mind, and maybe this mind will transcend with guilt. And then the next mind that comes in, it's like if you, I'll bring up Rupert Spira. A couple of years ago, I would be listening to him, and he would say, when you die, it's just the concepts that go into the next seeming vehicle. But the vehicle that's speaking does not. I know all lessons are lessons that God would have me learn, but I don't, if that is true, then this would be a real movie. Because there's no lesson you need to learn, because forgiveness is the only lesson. And in the end, you need not forgive anything because nothing happened. Of course, this voice sometimes talks very fast, so slow it down. Slow the mind down, like Dove says. Okay, Dove, over to you.
Okay, thank you for that, Sharon. You mentioned Rupert Spira. You think of awareness. The funny thing, before I ever heard of Rupert Spira and awareness, I heard the expression awareness watching awareness. And where do you think I heard that?
From Regina and from Michael Langford, right?
Right here at ACIM gather during the years where Regina used to teach, and Cheryl Valentine, who I know you remember very well, and Pam. It's Pam Mills now. She got married. I can't remember Pam's. She's a nice Jewish girl from New Jersey. I can't remember her name. Maybe Lynn can remember. They used to run retreats.
Yeah.
I attended one down. Did Lynn just say something?
No, I don't think she's right there.
Oh,
right
okay.
now.
Yeah,
I
they used
didn't, but I posted it. Silberman.
Silverman, right. Pamela Silverman. Thank you so much. Thank you. I was looking for the posting, but I guess you posted it in the room. Yeah, that's right. You posted in the room. I'm only looking on the chat. Pam Silverman and Cheryl Valentine. Awareness, watching awareness. That's all they would talk about. That was like years 2008, 2009, 2010. And I'm going to bring up something that for those who came to last Sunday's celebration of the 10th anniversary, which Lynn Johnson and I were asked to speak. And it was really wonderful. And I know that you were there, Sharon. And Lynn has just sent out, in case you missed it and you want to see it, Lynn has a copy of the video, I believe. From YouTube, but there was a second round in which they asked questions, and it came to me that I didn't answer the question correctly. The question was, how did Awakening Together help you in your own life? And for some reason, I came up with the idea that, well, Regina is excellent at organization, and organization is so important in anyone's life. I know I'm kind of disorganized in my own life. My desk always looks like Albert Einstein's desk, completely disorganized. But he knew where everything was, and I know where everything was. But I guess that's because I didn't want anyone else to know where anything was. But it came to me after the thing, and I wanted to say, oh, I forgot this. And so I'm going to share it right now. The one thing that I got out of Regina's Awakening Together, she insisted that everybody do the MPP, but she actually gave Phil Frisk and I an exemption, kind of godfathered us in, but she insisted that we do the first of the classes, which was I think it was like a 2-month class on discernment. And discernment for me right now is really how I stay sane. And it allows me to be a counselor for other people who basically are doing the course and still run into places where they are feeling stressed or uncomfortable, or somehow going through some kind of a thing that they don't understand, because discernment keeps you on that straight and narrow. Exactly what it is that I started this morning off. It says, once you accept his plan as the one function that you would fulfill, there'll be nothing else the Holy Spirit will not arrange for you. He will go before you, making straight your path and leaving in your way no stones to trip on. So what are those stones that we trip on that makes life uncomfortable? And, on my card, it says, be grateful for your triggers, the stones that you trip on, because they reveal your own mistaken beliefs, lies, things that you believe in that aren't true. That's why you're tripping all over yourself. And it's that discernment that makes the course seem really very easy. And I want to address something that you said, you know, uh, you know, trying to learn the course and do the course is actually the hard way. It really is. Jesus says, listen, my burden is light and my yoke is easy. And someone can say, you think these 1,300 pages is easy? Really? But what he's really saying is, if you can love all equally the same, and as Ken Wapnick says, if you can be kind to all, the key word is all that you meet, you have no need for this fancy schmancy metaphysics of this course, which is where the 1,300 pages that people say, you think this is easy? Yeah, it's asking you to remember the love of God, and there is nothing in this world that comes close to the love of God, because in this world there was a thing called, well, if I identify with a body, I must also be afraid. I have to defend myself. I have to protect myself, and that comes from fear. So if there's two emotions, love and fear, you can't live in two different emotions. It's one or the other. So if I'm defending myself, I'm attacking myself by thinking that I am this body. And once you live in fear, you cannot know the love of God. It's impossible to live in two different worlds, as he tells you in lesson 130. So your willingness to go through developing trust, which allows you to finally to let go of the fear. But it can't be 99%. It has to be all or none. You're either trusting in the love of God and in the peace of God that passes all understanding, or you're not. Notice lesson 47 is the first place that he talks about trust. He says, God is the strength in which I trust. And you might say, well, yeah, I mean, but how do I know that he's around? Well, you're not really trusting in God's strength. You're trusting in your own strength, because that's who you are. I and the Father are one. It's not that there's God's strength and your strength and you're not quite the same as God. Notice the very next lesson, lesson 48. There's nothing to fear. This is a fact. But you see, it doesn't take too many lessons if you're really allowing yourself to see what he's saying to you and accept it. And acceptance to me is the same as forgiveness. It really is. He says, what can you not accept? It's all for you. There's nothing here that's against you. But if you're experiencing discomfort, you think that this is against me. No. Your lessons are blessings. They're blessings for you. And we're all blessed. The only reason you're here is that you came to a classroom to learn that what you are not. Yeah. Real learning in this world is not learning. Learning in this world is unlearning, undoing. What do I need to do to undo? Nothing, except to remember the truth of what you are. You got to smile. You got to laugh. You got to laugh. On over to you.
Yeah, I mean, in when you really see that the whole, I mean, especially like when I listen to you, Dub, you've been doing this Course in Miracles since you're in your 30s, right? It's 30s, so you become so seasoned that there's just no way that, there could be doubt. There's no way in this mind anymore that there's doubt. But the conviction of realizing nothing happened ever needs to be in every moment, because it's so easy to have forgetfulness. And there's no failure, but there's mistakes. And the mistake we make is when we take ourselves for the small self. The small self is insane. If you listen to it and write it down and wonder why you're listening to it, it's only distracting. That's it. The whole point in politics is to distract us. The whole point of good, bad, right, wrong, all of it, it's just distraction. So what I can do is write down what the ego is saying and say, what does that mean? If I'm not a body, a mind, why am I going to believe that a brother or anyone can hurt this invulnerable being that I am? Well, it's because of the past and the future, right? And it's the belief. And as Dove says, belief has lie in it. So what is the goal of this mind? It's to have patience, to be gentle, to have all the attributes of a teacher of God, because we don't know anything. But, this mind sometimes believes it does. This mind sometimes believes it's even right. We don't know. I got a text this morning that I have a relative that's having emotional problems. And, the ego in me, because this person's close to me, is really upset, right? And I'm watching it. Now, if I can watch it, is it really me? The ego's still going to throw things at this mind, right? Whether it dissipates or dissolves, that's not even it. It's not important anymore to me. I'm so tired of hearing people say awakening. A wakefulness wakes up. The human's not there. So there's no big thing. Okay, how do I act in the world? Am I kind? Am I kind in every moment in the market? Now, am I wrong if I'm not kind? No, you're never wrong as a son of God. But it feels good because that's our natural state, right? As the one, as the wholeness of being that we truly are, it is true when we understand the Holy Spirit, that is really the guide to get us out of like a world that never really happened. And, I do have fun here and I like doing things that humans do. But I also realize that judgment is the one thing that hurts this mind more than anything else. It splits me in half, and it has a belief in there that if I believe it's out there, consciousness doesn't have any clue that that's true. The unconscious mind will always think it's happening to me, right? Because there is no one out there but me. That's what the Course in Miracles says. You must ultimately learn there is nothing outside of you. And it also, Jesus in the Course basically says this is a process. It's not saying you're instantly going to get it. Because when you finally get here-ness, that it's just here-ness that's real, that's happiness is here, real, peace is real, specialness is not real. And specialness has a trap. It has a huge trap, and I know that. Would we really get angry at love? Could love get angry? Could love not want to give? Taking the power back and realizing that I'm not this, a separate self, this seeming separate self that is independent from the whole. Because it's wholeness that's dreaming. It's wholeness that's having this magnificent dream. And it is an impossible dream if you think it's real. It's impossible. So this person that I have in my life that's having emotional problems is a relative. I have to just say, I see him as a Christ. His story is irrelevant. He's not even there other than, listening to his insane voice, like my insane voice, and it's all one voice. But, what I have looked at a lot is trying not to judge or fix anyone. Those are what's autopilot for this mind. So it's like, you learn, you're in the classroom every day learning something that will help you grow. So with that, I'm going to say we have 5 more minutes. And if you want to take this stuff, that's perfectly good, because I'll be in the room today listening. We have a full day today. We have Karen on, we have Regis on. So it's going to be a lot of feeding of spirit. And that's a muscle that needs to be fed 24/7. Thank you, Doug.
Okay, thank you, Sharon, and wonderful sharing as usual. Yeah, you brought up something that I'd like to touch on now, and you brought up a lot of good stuff. The whole idea of the things of this world are distractions, really, from our purpose. And only purpose has meaning, and our purpose is truth. And truth is oneness, union, sameness, equality. But we get caught up in that idea, exactly as you mentioned, of specialness. We have chosen to be special because the body is not only the symbol of, it's not only the symbol of separation, and separation is the only mistake or error that has to be corrected because it never happened. But it's also the belief in guilt, a sin. It's a sin. The word sin is not the kind of sin, oh, he cheated on his whatever, and that's a sin, So in the old days, and I'm almost going back to Tuesday night. In the old days, the Jewish rabbis of Jesus' time used to look at sins. Look at that. He's hanging out with tax collectors and prostitutes and this and that. And those were the taboos or the sins of the day. And Jesus, who was a mystic in a scene, didn't see sins that particular way. Because those were the laws of Moses. Every rabbi puts his hand, his mark on. And if you do this, and if you don't get washed, and if you don't get cleaned, you don't have a mikvah, you don't do this. You can't mix this with that. You can't have dairy and meat. You can't work on you can't. Everything is thou shalt not. And Jesus didn't see the thou shalt not. He says, listen, I am here to love and to be kind to all. And it was that faith in his Father's love that gave him all those miracles that seemed to happen. I mean, he truly accepted that he was the Holy Son of God, but saw all of his brothers and sisters the same. Who was Jesus but a man who saw the face of Christ in all that he met, and he remembered God? What do you mean by remembering God? He became as God is. God is. God is. Peace is. Love is. Truth is. It's an isness. It's our consciousness. It's our oneness. It's our, well, go on and on and on with that. But the ego said, oh, no. I don't want you to look at the isness. I don't want you to remember the truth. I want you to do my work. I want you to be my prisoner, and I'll keep you in prison as long as I can keep you believing, with a big lie, believing in specialness. Yes, that you are more than, better than, maybe not as good as, but you're going to be better, right? So life becomes a competition, and the ego literally lives by comparison and competition, literally. Only one person is going to win the Oscar. Only one person is going to win the gold at the Olympics. Everybody else is going to lose. I want to win the gold. I want to win the Oscar. I don't want to be a runner-up. So that's what the distraction is that we are distracted by the things of this world of illusion, of dreams, and we forget our real purpose for being here. And all the Course does is gently brings you back to purpose, and only purpose has any meaning. I see we're at the bottom of the hour, and my time has run out. So thank you so much, Sharon, for sharing. And we're going to be turning this over to Regis Reeves. Everyone loves Regis. He's in the room, and reminding everyone that tonight at 7:30, we're doing the deep dive into the manual for teachers. Please join us for that on ACIM Gather Zoom. And I did want to put it a plug for ACIM Gather itself, because it's a place where you come to develop trust. We were talking about trust. The purpose of ACIM Gather was always to develop trust. And what's the fastest way to develop trust? I mean, you can do it at your own pace if you want, but to step back and let Holy Spirit speak to you and through you. And those people who came here a long time ago went on to be teachers of other teachers. And by the way, Daniel Shai was one of those guys,
Yes, he
came
was.
here
Yes, he was.
many years ago. All right, without further ado, turning this mic on over to you. Regis Reeves, his mic is all yours, unless Lynn wants to pick it up.
Nope. Thank you so much, Dove and Sharon, and we will talk to y'all tonight. Love you. Bye.